Hi everyone, it's Sonia McDonald from Leadership HQ, and today I am interviewing for our leadership channel. You know that we're super passionate about building kind and courageous leaders and leadership. Now, I've had a few conversations with Wade. He's super passionate about leadership. I love his focus. I love his energy. I love that he's also trying to build a world of courageous leaders and leadership as well. So Wade Tink, how are you?
I'm great, Sonia. I'm great. I'm good.
I'm going to get you to tell us about what you guys are doing, but I heard I got a call last week from Central Queensland Uni. They said they had an awesome conversation with you.
Thank you so much for setting that up. That is insane. And it's so insane that we went over the other side of the world to engage, universities. And basically over there, they said CQU is the university in Australia you should be in contact with. And then we got put in contact by the Americans. And then it all came back to you actually getting us in contact with the right person. So it was meant to be. And I really appreciate it because he's just amazing. And he's just completely on our level. It was awesome. So...
He is amazing. Like, he is so amazing. I actually coach Alistair. So as soon as I got off our call, I rang Alistair and he was like, bring it on, let's get this happening. So it just shows you the power of connection, collaboration, us helping each other during this time, I think is really important. So tell me about what you guys are doing at the moment. Like, I found you guys were the fastest growing, or that you were the AFR fastest 100.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in the AFR fastest 100 startups, and I think we're one of the only social enterprises in that group. So there's a handful of B Corps, but I think we're the only social enterprise. I haven't confirmed that, and I probably should because it's a bit of a PR, hook there. But we basically, to give you the backstory quickly, we take two separate groups of people together. So firstly, if you look at technology from startups, university research, or companies, and you think that this technology could be applied to a developing world context and could create a massive social outcome. So we take that's one side of our whole business. So bringing those people together, and you're talking about examples like where from very involved technology examples like a seed analyzer. So they can look at the genetic makeups of seeds and tell you what kind of soil it best grows in, what watering it needs, everything like that. So all that kind of technology, and then imagine a bit getting that into the hands of people in developing countries, with 500 million people around the world who are smallholder farmers, right? So that kind of thing, right through to ophthalmology, where this lady has invented flat pack glasses. And it's in sense you can train someone in 45 minutes to be able to diagnose and provide corrective eyewear to someone at a fraction of the cost that's normally done. And so imagine getting that technology into the hands of the developing world. So we've got all these innovators and these technology companies on this side. And what they struggle with is getting into those developing world markets. They're often successful businesses, or they've got their own agendas, or they're working and doing other things. And they don't understand the risk profiles, the connections, the difficulties, all the challenges, and they just don't have the scope to be able to do a whole lot of stuff in developing world. So that's on one side. And then the other side, we have students and university students who are going through their degrees. And, university has changed a hell of a lot since we were there, and there's a whole residential side of it. But what a lot of students want is to actually be able to go out and implement the stuff that they're doing on the ground, and to also get startup skills and to get a lot of experience and exposure to technology. So what we do is we combine those two together. So the students work with us and go into developing countries, and they test the technology that these other companies have on the ground with consumers, with real communities, with people, with stakeholders, and basically work through the startup methodology to see if they can make it work. Now, we only have about 12 to 13 projects at the moment across 4 countries, and we're aiming to build that up to 25 to 30 projects, of which most of them will fail, we know that, but some of them will be super successful, and then they'll scale up into large companies. So that's, in a sense, it's a two-sided platform, and we enable those interactions and make that happen.
So tell me about, how did this all come about? So where did it come from? Where did this Project Everest, where did it come from?
Yeah, it's bit of a crazy story. What happened, just in short, was I was in the army originally, and I went into investment banking, as you do. It makes total sense. And so from army to investment banking to startup, and this other guy I knew, who was a friend of a friend, or he's actually the brother of one of my good friends. He had been developing a non-for-profit, and it ended in tragedy. Like, it was, all this huge time involvement, and it just went bad. And he basically, had this whole thing about social enterprise as the future, non-for-profits. So many young people get into it and it just doesn't work out. And he kind of exposed me to the student idea of educating students on what social enterprise was and developing through that path. So it started there. I really got into it, and I felt that the skills that I have was to enable decentralization in this organization, which was, I could only do a certain amount by myself. But if I could enable a whole bunch of other people to do things through leadership, like building them as leaders, then we could hit a certain level of scale. So that's where it started, and started with the leadership program, and then we built it out, and now it's in about 13 universities in Australia, a couple in the US, and some over in Ireland. And we've got about 7 impact partners who are our technology partners, making it happen across 4 developing countries.
That is amazing. And how many years? I mean, when did you start the company?
Start of 2016.
Look at where you've gone to in 4 years' time. I mean, that's just shows you, when you've got a real mission and drive, what you can achieve. I just love it, and I love the fact, obviously, we talked about this. I'm super passionate about youth leadership and our leaders of the future, our future generations. So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing with universities and students. So, like, anyone that's listening, like, how can they get involved? What do they need to do? Like, tell us a little bit more about the programs.
Yeah. So just how it works with the university students. It's not just university students. We have people outside of that as well. It's generally young people, but some in their 30s have come as well. And so if they're at university, they're studying a degree, we basically take people from most degrees, or nearly all of them, because we want the different approach. And, startups is going to involve different people coming together. And so we take mostly engineers and business students. They're the ones that are usually attracted to us the most. But we take science heavily, medicine, health, all the different areas. And basically they're going through their degree. Once they're end of their first year into second year, we are usually in most campuses. If they're not, then you can look at our website, Project Everest, just type it into Google and just get involved and put your name down in interest, and we'll get in contact with you. And it's kind of a bit of a process that we go through to select you. And if that's the case and it works out, then you can do it as part of your degree. So as a elective subject or professional experience for engineers, we link in with the universities to provide that. So it also means it's a potential funding mechanism as well for them to do it that way.
That's incredible. I actually think that these skills that you are teaching are fundamental. I mean, we're at the moment building some programs and toolkits for the future of work around leadership, because we see that is really the key, is around that self-awareness and the resilience, and having that initiative and collaboration. So learning these skills while and I understand, like, it's not only for university students, but I definitely need to talk to you about, we're looking at putting together a youth leadership summit. And if the borders weren't closed, I'd be ringing you and going, can you come up to Brisbane? Because we've got to be arranging one very, very soon. Because I see that our youth and obviously our future leaders, I think during this time, they need more leadership. They need more hope. They need us, showing them the light and the vision around what they can do with their lives and their leadership. And I think what you guys are doing at Project Everest, and that's why I introduced you to Central Queensland Uni, because they're one of the sponsors in our awards, and they're so focused and passionate about building great leaders. So it was really great to connect the two of you. But I need to connect you with more people now, because I'm keen to kind of help you grow with your vision and your mission. I mean, because where are you wanting to take Project Everest? Where are you wanting to take it?
So we've got 3 phases of where we're building out. So very technical answer. The first thing and the foundation is the training business. So like our education and training business is kind of what's sustaining us at the moment. At the end of the day, students pay to be involved because just like doing any other subject in their degree, we're a subject, except you do it, the classroom is overseas or in Australia or virtual, like it's involved in real world activities and actions, right? It's a real world subject. So that's where we form the foundation of like our business and how we make money, right? Because we obviously need to survive. I think we got about 25, 30 staff around there. And then the next phase is these projects. So we're building out to have 25 to 30 projects, which all have the opportunity to develop into successful companies. And those companies and that involvement for those technology partners is going to be, it's in a sense equity. Like if we can get a successful outcome, then we will take a little bit of the equity of a future venture that would be a spin-off. And then the third phase is where we're moving into what we want to do is to have these businesses successfully scaling. So, what we're looking at is our future value as a company is in the small holding that we'll have in a handful of companies that will successfully scale in developing countries. And we look at, as the example is Zipline. We just love this as an example because it's just so on point. Do you know the company Zipline?
No.
It's the first. I believe it's the first. Don't quote me directly. It's the first unicorn to come out of developing countries. That's really got a lot of global attention. And what it was is a group of guys out of Silicon Valley and other people in Rwanda who put together a company which delivers blood products and medicine using drones. So it started with a government collaboration, and they designed these drones so that they can, in that country, you can imagine like the mountainous terrain, the difficulty in infrastructure and roads. If someone is going through childbirth and they are hemorrhaging and they're losing blood, then they're going to die very quickly. But to get medical products to them would take 4.5, 5 hours via car. So what they did was design a drone that could basically carry those blood products and deliver it to them in 15 to 25 minutes anywhere in the country. And so they've saved thousands and thousands of lives by being able to do that all across Rwanda. And now they've gone out into 5 other countries in Africa, and they actually just recently got a contract with the American government to deliver to remote areas of the US. They've now been valued, as the recent round was, I think, 150 odd million that they raised at a $1.2 billion valuation. So what it proved is that these guys are dealing with the poorest of the poor as their customer base, and yet they were able to create a $1 billion plus company that is saving lives and really hits the social enterprise thing on the head. And so, I mean, this is a starting point. Like there's going to be companies like this that are going to come and come and come. And what we want to do is there's 2 folds to this. We want to obviously be involved in that and make that happen and facilitate that. And we think that it's going to be large about technology transfers into developing countries. And the other thing is to inspire and bring to these students at the early stages of their career that you can have your cake and eat it too, in the sense that you can do social impact, you can do social change, you can make a difference, and you don't have to be a martyr for it, because the thinking has always been that if you work at a non-for-profit, you get paid peanuts. And the only people that have ever been accepted in society up until now to do good and make a shitload of money is doctors, right? And why is it exclusive to them? They're the only people. Everyone's fine with a medical doctor earning, $1 million, saving lives. But yet, if someone has a non-for-profit, it's expected that they're going to be earning peanuts. You know what I mean? Why is that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. No, so it's like social enterprise brings these 2 together. It says you can have because the problem with non-for-profits, sorry, I'm getting on my, but I so believe.
Keep going. Keep going. I love it. You're going to do it. Yeah, do it.
Non-for-profits, they attract people in their early stage of their careers, like in their young, teens and 20s, and they keep them through their 20s. But when people get to their 30s, you can see in not-for-profits, there's a huge drop-off in employment. So as they're getting to their 30s and they're starting to get super productive, then they leave because they have to go and have a family and buy a house in Sydney. And Jesus, everyone knows that that's nearly impossible. So it's like, all these financial pressures come in, and they're like, I've got to go get a job that pays well. And unless they're financed by their partner or something like that, they're going to have to go do that. And so we think, well, if you can make a business and get into social enterprise and make it successful, then you should be able to create social impact and have that future. And at the same time, consumers are voting with their feet on this. And you can see the success of the thank you waters, which, is a different type of social enterprise, but there's a whole bunch of other companies where people are going, I'm choosing to go with environmental, social outcomes, and that's where it's coming through. It's magic.
It is magic. I've got a few comments here going, this is really cool and you're so passionate. It's great. So I think that it is just so incredible to see the difference that you are making to so many. Like, talk about kindness and courageous leadership just there with you, Wade, and your team. I mean, you should be like super proud of what you're creating. So
well, I'm gonna counter that as well, because the biggest thing I'm proud of, Sonia, just quickly, is actually a leadership program, which is anything but kindness. Okay, it's certainly courageous, but it's not non-kind. But what I find in this generation, and which is so excites me hectically, is that when we go through our students go overseas and they spend between 4 to 12 weeks with us, right? And at the end of that, those that have done pretty well, we put forward to them that they can apply for our leadership program. And what is amazing about this is we do a pre-screening. So off the back of that, we've spent 4 weeks with them. We've seen them in difficult circumstance. They've been overseas with us. They've obviously put a lot to be there as it is. And after that, we've seen that. We then pre-screen them. And then we go into our leadership program, which is a training and selection course, right? So it's 6 days intensive, and it's taken from what we learned in the Army. So it's literally taking the Army stuff and putting it into hectic scenario-based training. I'm talking food, sleep deprivation. It's them going to their absolute limit. And we have more actors and role players on the actual training than we have people in training. And we create an entire fictitious country of which they've got to operate through and, face all these challenges. And it's the hardest leadership program that we can find anywhere for this age group to be able to engage with, right? And it's also a selection course. So it's like, if you pass it, if you get through the end, doesn't necessarily mean you ever get to lead with us, because we then choose the best of them, and then they get the opportunity to come with us overseas. And then from there, if they do well overseas, then they can come on to be part of our register and get employment from there. And what amazes me, Sonia, and what is so cool, is that this generation just wants this so hard, because they're so sick of being brought up with cotton wool in, the blanket security that Australia provides and the world, And it's like everyone tells them they're awesome. Everyone tells them they're perfect. And, it just goes achievement award. And then they get to us and we tell them what's really going on and give them the real feedback that they want. And they
to be kind. You're kind of like, which is cool. I like it. I'm hearing now. I agree with you. I agree with this. This generation is, I think, some of our generations I've seen, and I'm not painting everyone the same brush. It's like a bit entitled. Like, I've been told all my life how awesome I am and how I get everything. So therefore I don't have to work for anything. I do see that a lot, because it's really interesting. I've got a poll happening at the moment on LinkedIn, and I've got 4 different skills and competencies needed for the future of work, because my daughter and I are having a conversation. By far now, adaptability and resilience is leading the way for my 7-day poll. So I think that what you're doing is building that. Is that right? Like, that's what you're, yeah.
And what the ironic thing about them is that they are amazing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, and they do so well, and then they go overseas and they lead people over there, and they, respond to shit that these guys are, 20s, like young 20s, and they're responsible for people overseas, and they're dealing with situations like, we've had some pretty intense situations, like, someone fell off a 3-story building and nearly died, and, and some, these are obviously failures, not systematic, but people going off and doing the wrong thing. We had a medical situation where the doctor didn't diagnose someone and then they nearly drowned. And, these people are dealing with these situations in a developing country where there's no infrastructure, and they do incredibly fucking well. And they're so good. And and the thing is that, like, they are that good, but they just don't haven't had the infrastructure to enable them to be all that they can be, in my opinion. And that's what we want to bring to them. It's like, no, you're not all going to get through. And some of you are going to be better than others. And we're going to give you that feedback. And we're never going to put you in a situation where you can't handle. But we're going to get you to the point. And we're going to tell you along the way if this is, where you're going wrong and what you need to do and where you need to go. And it's been amazing. And I am really blown away at this generation and how awesome they are in so many ways, personally.
I love them. I think I love them so much. And I love the fact that no, I do, because I just love the fact because I've got, obviously, she's a teen, I call her still my teenage daughter. She's kind of like my radar, my compass, because she'll go, now, Mum, is it ethical? Are we getting this for sustainability? And I'm like, yes, you're checking in on me. Because these are sort of things for me. I mean, I'm Generation X. We didn't think about these things, but also the fact that, we didn't go through a lot of situations like we are. I mean, obviously, COVID's been really challenging, but you are giving them this structure and these environments to actually bring out that inner grit, that inner courage, that, that inner resilience that they might not have known was there, because you're actually giving them that structure and environment where they're actually demonstrating that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is so cool.
It brought out of a deep passion of mine. I mean, in terms of my journey, I think this is where you said it earlier about where it started. And I know that for me, I finished onto leadership management. And I mean, certainly there are other things about that I wanted, and I was quite naive and I was quite idealistic about what that would involve. But the thing is that I felt that, that was the best way to learn it, because I knew it was the largest amount of responsibility I could get at the youngest age, right? In terms of leading soldiers and operations is just, there's not really much more that's at stake than that. And so when I left, I never want anyone to join the army. I understand certain circumstances, but I'd never encourage it. And so what we kind of built with this was the idea that we can give that experience to students, without having to go and join the army. And they can get that exposure and they can put themselves in those situations, but they can do it in a way that serves the world as opposed to taking away from it. So,
yeah, I suppose it is around, again, as you said, that serving the world and, making a difference. I mean, so I'm going to ask you a question now. It's great to see so many people are watching this live because it's about Wade showing others there's so many people. Look, in all due fairness, when I approached you, I didn't really know what you did until we connected, and then I got to learn about you. So bringing your vision and your mission to the greater public or the greater world is like what we're trying to do, so we can have people like yourselves lead by example, and lead by example by people that are watching this and going, wow, like this is amazing that Wade and his team are doing this. How do I get involved? Maybe I can have the courage to do something myself like this. So I wanted to ask you a question. I mean, if you could go back in time, if you think about, like, we're talking about our future generations, and you know what I'm going to ask, like, what advice would you give to younger Wade? Like, is there anything you would say, like, do this differently, or what would you say? What advice would you give him?
What advice would I give younger Wade? Like, it's actually, I don't get too romantic about this, to be honest. Half of me would say fucking don't do it. Like, it's just too hard. So it's, to be fair, like it has been really hard, and it still is really hard. Like, COVID has just smashed us to pieces, in ways that I didn't imagine. So I'd go back and say, look, this road is going to be a lot harder than you think it is. And I think grab that naivety at the time and do it. But at the same time, just really take a long-term view. Like, I think Grant Cardone says, it takes 10 times longer than you think, and it's 10 times harder. And I think that that's probably being conservative. So definitely do it. Definitely pursue your passions. Do all that stuff that's been said many, many times before. But I really think that you need to also take an understanding that resilience is such a strong point to what you said earlier, Sonia. It is such a asset. My military training has set me up for that. I think in large respects, in being resilient and being willing to deal with, the difficulties that come constantly. And it's going to take longer. And I think I was going to say one more point there, but it's just, it's difficult, and you're going to have to deal with that. And so, yeah.
Here it is. No, I think it's really wonderful. You've kind of said that from the heart with that vulnerability, because I have interviewed some leaders, and obviously, and everyone that I've interviewed has been incredible, and they've all talked about how hard it is. But I think there's a level of, I think we see people like, which is great, like these great people like the CEOs from Afterpay, and Atlassian and all those guys, and also all the men and women and all genders out there that are doing great things. But sometimes that kind of goes, oh, we could never get to that. But I don't think success is like, I don't attach success to, and this is kind of something I would say to me, success to financial returns or financial performance or turnover or profit. I attach success to me as significance. So I think the more that I feel that we're making a difference and making an impact and leaving that legacy of creating change and creating a better world, that to me, whereas beforehand, my accountant would show me my BAS every quarter, or this, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I don't think I can pay the rent, or it's kind of, and you do it kind of those knocks, and like you and I talked when I was trying to get everything sorted to get you on live today, and you were asking how I was, and I was like, last week we got another massive knock with the awards, and I was like, this is effed, like big time, like it's just really tough, but I think sometimes you've got to keep it real. You've got to say, hey, I never thought it was gonna even I didn't. I was like, I never thought it was gonna be as hard and challenging, but I keep going forward. I have to keep moving forward. I've got to pick myself up, because if we focus on the difference we're making, and that mission is to make it a better world and to create better leaders and more leaders, then that is like a great legacy for us, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, at the end of the day, like, I mean, I'm taking a pretty negative view, but at the end of the day, I'm always super grateful for everything that we've gone through and what we've had. And even with COVID, it's like, it's just making us stronger. So like when shit happens, like what you happen this week, it's like, because you don't ever, there's a saying, you don't ever wish for anything to be easy. I just wish that you were stronger. That's what you should be encouraging. And everything that's happening with you and COVID, it's just making us stronger. And I'm about at the moment is getting through this, because on the other side, it's going to be insane. And it's been really challenging, obviously, watching our competitors go under around us. And, I'm talking like it's just ratcheting up week per week. But at the end of the day, when we get through this on the other side, it's going to be a completely different world. And I'd say to my younger self and to the people here, the thing that has been so key and pivotal in us being able to be here and still work through this and still make it happen is our purpose. And it's such a thing that I feel like people just get into business and they just go down and they, make something. But it's like actually driving back to, we have our purpose clearly outlined and we have our values clearly outlined. And honestly, that purpose, it's only 7 words, but Jesus, it's worth more than anything in this whole business. And, it's enabled us to get through such stuff so far. It's enabled the engagement that we have, our team, and they've stuck with us. And it's all this, and it's 7 words, but it's a whole, obviously, lot more than 7 words. So I'd say, be resilient, like aim to be stronger, do all the things. And at the end of the day, the other thing is have a good accountant. Right?
Yes. Very good. That is so true. Everyone, get a good accountant. What are the 7 words? What are the 7 words?
We solve social issues using business. So I don't know, it's 7. So solve social issues around the world using enterprise. That's our purpose. So, I mean, it's very broad, but that's what we're here to do, is solve social issues using business. And that's what we've been about since the start. And it's all about that. And our values, there's 7 values, which I can run through, but it's to enable, like, our mission is to democratize development. So our purpose is to solve social issues using development. Our mission is to democratize development. So that means that anyone can ultimately have an influence on the sustainable development goals, to actually make a difference and be out there and do that across the globe. Because when you think about it, that's just not been the space that people can operate in. It's always been governments and non-for-profits. So you either have to be in those two spaces, and that's why all students are like, I want to work for the UN, I want to go, or work for a non-for-profit. It's like, no, I want to enable you to have that influence and to be able to hit the development and pull this world forward, regardless of those two spheres, right? That's the whole thing in the mission. And then our values are all very weird. People look at them and go, what? Because they're nothing about helping anyone, which is why people go, well, if you're a social enterprise, wouldn't your values be, kindness and this, but no, they're actually difficult. They're like hard work, build leaders, they're be raw. They're these kind of things. And what it is about the interactions in the community that we expect. They're the do's and don'ts that we live by when we're in country and when we're outside. It's like, you will look after the person to the left of you. You will look after the person to the right of you. You will build everyone up in this organization, because that's how we need to work together to hit this massive goal.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're really aligned, because that is everything as well. I mean, your leaders lead the culture, and it's that purpose, mission, and values that you espouse that will build. You'll just keep moving forward and growing, because you are so aligned. Because even everyone that I've dealt with at Project Everest, they have just been incredible as well. So you can tell that everyone is on that same path. And I think you're taking everyone on that journey and making such a difference. You should be really proud, Wade, of what you're all creating. Like, I'm super proud of you. So yeah.
Thank you. It's certainly not me. It's, as I said, it's the team, and they've been amazing throughout this. And it's not just me that founded it. There's others, and so it's been a team effort, and it's been incredible the whole way. And so, and I just, as I said, like in this COVID situation, the first thing that everyone did was lean in, and that's just humbling. Like, it really is. And particularly when I'm telling them, like, we're going to have to take pay cuts, and it's going to be hard, and I can't promise you anything. And then the way that they respond is go, where do we need to go? Let's get there and make it happen. So that's just incredible.
So my last question is, first of all, thank you so much. It's been such an honor speaking with you today. How can we help? For anyone that's listening, or I'm going to reshare this again on the social media channels, I'm sure, because people do say to me they watch it even after, like they might not be able to make it now, but they always go back on and watch the lives. I mean, What can we do to help you? Like, if anyone's listening, is there anything we can do to help you?
Yeah. So I haven't really prepared for this, but what we're actually moving into in our role of, like, in our mission in democratizing development, is we started with university students, and they're fulfilling a huge aspect of this, right? And we need to start small to build out. And so now what we're building out and where we're going to this is into companies and other organizations. Companies often, from my experience, I worked in UBS investment banking stuff, and we would have these volunteer days where we'd be like, okay, 2 days a year or 3 days a year, and we'd go, and here's a bunch of investment bankers earning ridiculous amounts of money. I wasn't, because I was quite youthful in that organization, but we'd go and do soup at a soup kitchen, and it'd be like it just mind boggled me at the time, and it still mind boggles me today. I'm like, here's these guys and girls who are exceptionally talented and skilled, and they go and pour in soup. And I get it from, the giving back, but isn't there a more efficient way that they could give back? And what we want to do is move from our current operations into enabling people in the corporate environment to give back, because we're out here building businesses. We're trying to execute on difficult technology in developing countries. There's so many people who have skills that would be beneficial to this, right? And they've got volunteer days, as because their company wants to take them. It's like, can we bring this together? And that's what we're looking at as our next steps. So if there's anyone in a company that feels passionate about this space, you know what I mean, and wants to kind of integrate it, like we'd be open to being in contact with them, and just do that through our website, Project Everest. You can find us. We're the only company like it. So,
well,
yeah.
I know we'd love to help you with that. So, and I'd love to help refer you some. I know of lots of people around in my tribe that would love to support you as well with that as well. I think that would be fantastic. So, yeah, I'll get some details from you so we can actually put that in the feed and stuff. Is that cool?
Yeah, it's 100% cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That'd be amazing.
And is there anything that you'd like to add before we kind of, close off this live interview and it's just been such a great interview. I really just appreciate your time today. Is there anything else you'd love to say to everybody out there?
No, just firstly, thank you, Sonia, for enabling me to be here. And I know if I could have the whole team here, it'd be even more valuable in terms of, obviously, because they're younger and they're fucking awesome and they're amazing. But thank you so much for enabling us to be here. And the other thing is, we want to spread the message. Like, to be honest, I've always kind of been jealous of those people out there who build a business and can spread the message at the same time. And then my goal of 2020, before COVID happened and then I had to get pulled in, is I want to be more able to go out there and spread the message. And I know that Singularity University is, I'm one of the faculty members, and it's a huge part of what we're going to do in terms of putting that out there. But I want to, I really appreciate this opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with your audience. And so any other things like that, I'd be super keen for. So thank you.
Well, make sure you go out there and do it. I had a live with the general manager of Mars Wrigley last week. And I asked him the same question, and I said, like, what would you say to your younger self? And he went, just go out there and do it. Like, just go and have a voice. Just get it out there. Just ask for what you want. Like, and he showed me this, they've got a new bar called Kind. So that they've actually got a bar that says Kind. So he shows me live, and I'm like, I need that bar. I want that bar at my awards. And he goes, but you asked me, and I'm going to say yes. And I'm like, yeah. So you just have to put yourself out there and just ask for it. Like, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to help you with that. Like, get you out there in that messaging and see if we can connect you with some more people. That would be awesome.
Thank you so much, because you've been incredible help. And I can't, you are on this mission with leadership, and there's no greater mission at the end of the day. Like, it's enabled everything that we've been able to do at the end of the day, the leadership thing. So yeah, we're really props to you, and amazing that you're making it happen. So thank you. We've got
to be in this together, because leadership's not a role or title. It's a mindset, it's an attitude, it's an action, it's a choice. And, we're all together. If you and I can build more of those leaders and more of that inner greatness, and that those people that kind of go, hey, you know what, I am a leader. It's not a role or title. I can go out there and I can make a difference no matter how small. We're enabling that. So we've got to support and lift each other up so we can do that for each other. So we're more than happy to help you. So yeah, you've got amazing what you and your team are doing. We're so proud of you. And thank you so much for being on the leadership channel today.
Thank you so much indeed. Thank you, Sonia.
Okay, take care. Stay courageous. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.